Hey everyone, welcome to the PieCast for June 22nd, 2021. As always, I'm your host, Abram Pilch, and I'm joined by my co-host, Raspberry Pi expert Ash Puckett, associate editor Les Pounder, and our very special guest, Sam. Sam, for everybody else here, how do you pronounce your full name?
Samaksh.
Samaksh Khatri.
Yeah,
Um,
that's correct.
and he's going to talk to us today about a really amazing project that he's doing. But uh, but before we get into that, Sam, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? What you've been doing besides this project, and how long you've been doing pie projects?
Yeah, so I'm a college student right now. I'm in my final year, and I got introduced to the Pi in my first year itself. It was a short-term training program on Internet of Things, and ever since then I was fascinated with IoT. And it was only last year that I was finally able to get the Pi of my own. And I wanted to, and for the college project, like every semester we have to make a project for our curriculum. So I was inspired by these two students from MIT who created smart gloves, which would translate ASL into speech. So I was inspired by that. So I thought I had attended a few seminars on brain computer interface. So I thought that I should make something similar. And so yeah, I had this idea, and I saw this VCR device which is available here in India. I got that, and then I started making it. So, and ultimately like there was a few different projects that I could do, but ultimately I chose this one because it was the I think easiest to implement towards the proof of concept stage, and we could later build upon that. So it was controlling IoT devices in your home with the blinks of your eye, or but you would obviously need the brain computer interface device for that. So it directly processes the EEG data from your brain and converts those changes in the EEG data to control signals.
Wow, that's amazing. So, what do you use as a sensor to get it to capture your brainwaves?
So this is the BCR device. It's actually I had mentioned on Reddit that it's Mindwave Mobile, but it actually uses the same module. It's actually TGAM module, which was developed by Neurosky. I think it's inside this. I have not opened it yet, as I'm afraid it's already a virus come loose. Uh, so basically, how this works is that there is a single dry electrode over here on the inside. It goes over to my forehead. It attaches to my forehead. I'll just give a quick demo. Like, it's actually not working right now, but I can just show you how it works. Like, and this is a reference electrode which goes on my ear over here, earlobe. And so it basically measures the any EEG data or any muscle movement over here on my forehead, and it converts that into the TGAM module, converts it into any readable format, and it uses Bluetooth actually to send the data over to my laptop. My laptop has a software. It's specially called ThinkGear Connector. It basically parses any packets that is coming from this, and it takes those packets from the serial port and forwards it to an IP address, so I can access those packets from over there. So, and it measures alpha, beta, gamma waves, gamma brain waves, as well as the attention levels and the meditation levels, as well as the blink strengths. So I was more focused on using the blink strengths to control the IoT devices. And I think other people have used attention levels and meditation levels to implement games and therapy software. And even I think Michael Reeves, who is a YouTuber, he took the attention level and he used it to accelerate his car. So that's pretty like it's a great concept actually. And these BCR devices are also being used to develop neuro gaming software, and it can be really be helpful like to those who can't not able to use their hands or for some reason. Yeah.
Fantastic. So, is that sensor? How much did it cost you to build this? Aside from the Pi.
This sensor in rupees it cost me 8,500. So if you divide it by uh, yeah, I think the exchange rate is 78, right?
Right.
Let me just let me look it up.
Roughly, Google says 115 US dollars.
Yeah.
So,
It cost me around that.
so really not bad for the sensor, and then you're able to do so. Your project you use to control lights, and let's show a quick demo of that, which you've shared a video with us. So let me see if this here we go. So what are we seeing here?
Okay, so on the top left corner is the output for the Raspberry Pi console, and on the right side is the main driver program that I'm running on my laptop. So you can see the output there too, and on the bottom left you can actually see the lights that are being controlled through the Raspberry Pi. So the main driver program is written in Python. So as I said before, it accesses the IP port on which the packets are being sent, and it takes those, parses those, and it identifies the attention level, meditation levels, and the blink strength. And what I've done is written an algorithm to count the number of blinks, and I've also added for one blink you can cycle between the LEDs which are connected, and with two blinks you can toggle the LEDs on or off, and with three blinks the driver program terminates. I don't think my blinks are visible because my camera was not a high speed, but you can see me. I'm blinking right there. So that's what I added, these three functionalities right now.
So just for folks who aren't familiar with this technology, how would you define attention, meditation, and blink strength? How does it, what do those stand for?
Okay, so when you're trying to focus on something, so your attention level goes up. So I think it's beta waves for the brain. I'm not sure, but I'll have to double check on that. But whatever, for if you're trying to focus really hard on something, and it can be anything, your attention level just goes up, and simultaneously your meditation level will go down. And if you're trying to stay calm and let your mind relax, everything go blank, your meditation levels will go up, and simultaneously your attention levels will go down. So it's basically that, but I'm not using those two values right now. I was just focused on the blink strength, which is how hard that I blink, and I kept the algorithm sensitive because it had a high success rate for sensitive blinks. So even if you blink really quick, like and just normal blinking, it would detect even that.
Oh, wow. Fantastic. So can it tell the difference between blinking one eye and both eyes, or are they both the same as far as it's concerned?
No, it's the same because, as I said, it's attached to the forehead over here, so it will catch any electrical signals that is going over through the muscle just near the scalp. So yeah, so it will detect even if you blink one eye or if you both eyes, it's the same thing.
So if you were controlling something, what would you base it on? How many times you blinked? How quickly you blinked? What would be the variable that you use?
It will be the number of times that I blink. So for a single blink, I cycle through the devices. So initially LED 1 is selected, then I blink once, then LED 2 is selected. So like that, I cycle between the devices. For two blinks, I can toggle the device on or off the selected device. Is two blinks, and for three, I terminate the main driver program.
And all of that's handled through Python, you said, right?
Yeah.
Wow, brainwaves to Python. That's really cool.
Wow, that's amazing. So what are some of the other applications that you could use for this besides what would you do if you were incorporating the attention and meditation variables?
I I think those would actually be useful in other applications, mainly for therapy, like I said, anger management classes, and for gaming, obviously. But I think the functionality for gaming would be very limited because there are three discrete values that are being detected. And also, if I had like a BCI device that had like 30 sensors, 30 electrodes, EEG electrodes, then we could run machine learning algorithms on it to determine if what emotion the person is feeling. And obviously, such a like complicated device would be able to detect more than 3 brainwaves.
Oh wow, that that is amazing. So you would need a better sensor to get
Yeah,
that
yeah.
level of fidelity.
I recently saw a video on Veritasium channel. What they did was actually measure the effect of Earth's magnetic field on human brain. Basically, it's been like hypothesized that birds and animals use Earth's magnetic field for navigation. So the researchers over there, they thought, yeah, does it affect the human brain too? So they use the BCR device to see if there is any detectable changes in the brain waves when they simulated a moving magnetic field. So they try to detect those changes, and yes, those changes are there, but they are like really small.
Wow, this is really this is a really impressive project. So are you sharing all the code as open source so other folks can learn from your work?
Yeah, I will definitely. I'm not shared it right now because it's a little bit sloppy. I want it to be organized more. I want it to be optimized for IO because right now it's not multi-threaded, and I want it to be multi-threaded so it can run even better. So once I do that, I'll definitely make it open source and I'll post it on my GitHub.
Sam, I noticed in the code before it said MQTT, so I'm guessing you've got a client broker situation set up somewhere.
Yeah, yeah.
So-
So the broker is set up on the Raspberry Pi. I use the Mosquito broker, and I'm using the PAHO MQTT library in Python to
Yeah.
implement the clients.
Have you tried connecting any other devices to it, like some sort of other device listening, so subscribing for this information?
Yeah. So the topics for right now, I've kept the topics as static, but if you want to like make it into a proper application, then yeah, I'll have to keep it a separate feature so that user would be able to subscribe to any topic they want.
I think it'd be really cool just to have this device around your head and you can control any other device in the room or around the world, because MQTT is fantastic for doing that.
Yeah, yeah. If anything's connected to the broker, then and if it supports, then yes, definitely it can control any device that is available on the broker.
So we have a question for pupils can dilate little either during low light or when you are concentrating hard. Does your algorithm differentiate, I guess, between dilated pupils and
Uh,
blinking?
no, it does not. It does not focus on pupil dilation. It just focuses on the eye muscle, like the eyelid muscle, when it blinks. So it sends a spike in the raw EEG data. So that spike is the change in the EEG data. So that is detected. And how hard you blink also raises the level of the spike.
Wow, this the applications of this are just amazing. What someone could do with this. What type of Raspberry Pi are you using? Are you using a Pi 4 or something else?
Yeah, it's a Pi 4 GB RAM.
Uh, does it require that much performance, or would it actually work with a lower level Pi?
No, it would work with a lower level Pi. It's just that when I think RPi 4 was launched, so I think it was the like the top model that we could have. The 8 GB model was released later, and I just wanted to procure the top model, so I just got the
Yeah.
4 GB one.
Yeah, no question.
Yeah.
Another question from a viewer: if you are carrot browsing a web page, does the cursor move with moving eyes?
Actually, I haven't interfaced it yet with the computer peripherals, but it's possible. The code that I use as a reference, actually used attention levels to raise the volume of the system, like change the volume of the system. So yeah, it's definitely possible to map these, but yeah, it would even require a complex BCI device to like get a proper level of brainwaves and the amount of brainwaves, and also a sophisticated machine learning algorithm too. But it's definitely possible.
Well, we have a very specific question from a viewer. Someone wanted to know if you've worked with Professor Rotre at Karag IIT. I'm sure I'm
IIT
butchering this correctly. Karagpur.
No, sorry, I'm not affiliated anybody with any of the IITs till now. I'm just like a average university, average student like that.
Well, obviously not average. You've
Yeah,
done
far from average.
a really excellent, a really brilliant thing. With a lot to be proud of. That is an amazing project. So where can folks go to learn more about your project, and do you plan to keep iterating on it?
Yeah, definitely. I plan to build more upon this, and right now it's available on Reddit on the r/Raspberry Pi subreddit. But otherwise, I've not yet posted the GitHub link. Not posted it yet on GitHub. I'll optimize the code. I'll finish everything, and then I'll post it.
Fantastic, and we've reported on this, and we will report on it when you post the GitHub link, so readers of Tom's Hardware will know where to find it. So, speaking of things that can help people who don't have who have challenges with either mobility or sensory. Ash, you've been looking at something else for Pi that can help people who are visually impaired, correct?
Yeah, that's right. So it all started with my grandpa. My grandfather is blind, and he has been for most of his adult life. But I think whenever you live with something like that, it can be really limiting when you have no way to leave the house. And I like to find ways that I can connect him with the world outside, because he's a very witty person. He likes to explore, and he really picks up on new technology very quick. And that's led me to researching various ways to adapt the Raspberry Pi into something that he could use. And the Raspberry Pi Foundation has actually made a few official statements about accessibility options on the Raspberry Pi. And one of the most recent ones is an update from February of 2020, in which they mentioned support for an application called Orca. And Orca is an application that's used for reading text on the screen out loud for visually impaired users. It's a lot like JAWS, if you've heard of that application. There's a few different apps out there that do this, but the reason I'm focusing here on Orca is because it's open source, Linux-based, and supported on the Raspberry Pi. So what I want to do is show you guys how you can get it on the Raspberry Pi, and then show you a quick demo of how it works. Well, you can imagine how it works, but I'll prove that it does work. So I'm going to switch my screen over here so that you can see what it looks like on the Pi. So to get it, what you need to do is first install the latest version of Raspberry Pi OS. Make sure it's up to date, all that fun stuff. And then you want to open the Raspberry Pi recommended software screen, because since the update, they've made it really easy to get a hold of. And if you look under the Universal Access section, you'll notice that there are two things that you can install. And the one we want to use, of course, is Orca. So just tick that box, click apply, and reboot the Raspberry Pi. When it comes back up, it's going to start talking to you if you have a speaker attached. So be prepared for it to just start talking to you. And for this demo, I'm using a Raspberry Pi 4B because that's what I had lying around. And like Sam, it's good to have, like he said, it's good to have the best of the best on hand, right? So I'm using that, but it should work with older models like the Raspberry Pi 3B or 3B Plus. Your mileage may vary, but it definitely works on the Raspberry Pi 4B. So now I'm going to hide this screenshot here. And what you see is a live feed of a Raspberry Pi 4. And I'm going to move the mouse around so you can see it's live. And I'm going to move the microphone that I have closer to the Pi behind me so that you can hopefully hear what it says. But I'm going to click on the menu. It'll say menu. And if I hover over items in that menu, I'm going to move down to run.
Logout, run. Logout, run.
If I switch back and forth between logout and run, you can hear it tells us exactly what we're hovering on top of. And that alone just, it gives you so much more access to the Raspberry Pi that you didn't have before if you can't see. And it's only compatible with some applications. So certain things are going to work with it, certain things aren't. I think one example they gave was Scratch. That does not work with Orca. So depending on what you want to use it for, you may want to experiment a little bit and make sure that it's actually supported and it's going to work with the project, depending on who you're making it for. And then also in this, I found something really cool I wanted to share with you guys. While I was researching, I came across something called Code Jumper. They put a blog post up on it, about it, up on the Raspberry Pi blog, and it's really, really neat. So what it is it's a tool to help blind or visually impaired kids learn to code using Scratch, which I mentioned Orca doesn't work with, but Code Jumper works with it. It's really cool and simple to use. It's got these little modules. I'm going to scroll down so you can see them. They're like, they call them pods. They're like little oval-shaped pieces, and they have cords that connect them to each other, and there's different modules that you can attach on top, and they're physically distinct components. There's switches, there's knobs, things like that. They're really easy to fill apart, and kids can connect these together and use them to create loops and program using Scratch. So if they can't see the screen, they can feel exactly what they're working with. So I thought it was really cool, and if it sounds interesting to you, you can check it out at codejumper.com. So what do you guys think? Have you seen any accessibility tools for the Raspberry Pi like these before?
Not like Code Jumper, no. That's fantastic. It almost looks like a bigger, simplified version of like STEM QT connections where they all chain together. I really want to get one of those kits and take it apart to see what's inside it, because it looks really interesting.
I just love how the knobs on top, I need to look closer at what they do, the different functions, but I just like how they're very easy to fill apart. You can tell immediately that they're very physically distinct from each other.
Yeah. It reminds me of a project from Pimoroni called Flotilla, which came out about 5 or 6 years ago. And that was a series of interconnected modules. They were all USB connected. And they were designed for children who'd never coded before to do electronics and coding in Scratch. But this is a more refined version. It looks really good.
Yeah,
Wow.
really.
Wow, that looks like a lot of fun. I could imagine someone also who can't use their hands being able to use Sam's device to code. Is that an application that you've thought of?
Not with the brain-computer interface, but there's definitely GPT-3 by OpenAI that's capable of code completion. So I'm working with GPT-3 also right now. That's a separate project.
Oh, wow. That's great. So speaking of kits that you can use, Les, you've been looking at an interesting kit for folks who are getting started with Pico, correct?
I have, yeah. So I'm going to take you back in time a moment. Many years ago when I got my first Arduino. So my first Arduino was in a kit. It had all the bits and pieces I needed at that time to make something with it. So I follow a series of examples, in this case, the Arduino website, and build projects based on what was in this box. And that's a great way to get involved with electronics and coding, because you've got this prescribed way of finding yourself through this journey. So the blinking of an LED, using a button, using analog inputs, using an LCD screen, that sort of thing. So I recently got this kit from UC Tronics, which is a MicroPython Raspberry Pi Pico starter kit. There we go. That's coming through nice and clear. And right now it's on offer for Prime Day, so $35 if memory serves. And it has everything you need, including a Raspberry Pi Pico. So I'm going to open this live on air. So I'm going to put it on the table and just show you what you get inside. So the kit's designed for the official MicroPython book, which you can get download from Raspberry Pi Foundation, or you can also pick it up. And it comes with all the bits and pieces that you want to play with. So let's go through. It's like Christmas Day. We have push buttons, momentary switches, USB lead. It's micro USB, but it also has a power button on it, which is quite handy to turn your Pico on and off. Some 10K potentiometers, analog inputs, jumper jerky, and hidden inside it, some NeoPixels, some WS2812B RGB LEDs. Not forgetting as well, standard LEDs, buzzer to make awful noises, especially in class, resistors, a PIR sensor. You Can't really see that because of the bag. Let's just quickly take this out. There we go. PAR sensor. These are fantastic. They're also very cheap as well, but fantastic to use. They've only got two states, on and off. When something moves, it sends a low signal, and you can use that as a trigger. So a burglar alarm, scare your friends or pets, that sort of thing. Don't scare your pets. It's not nice. LCD screen. Now this I'm quite interested in because can you see on the top here all these GPIO pins on the LCD screen? Normally, for using these screens, we'd have to wire up every single wire. That is a pain, but no more. This has got an I2C backpack on the back of it.
Wow.
So you can use it really easy.
That's really optimized.
Fantastic, those. If you haven't got LCD screens, get them with I2C backpacks. Large breadboard, and of course, star of the show, a Raspberry Pi Pico. And it comes pre-soldered, which is really handy. $35. There's a lot of value here. It's all there ready to go and work with the official book. So you can just pick it up and you can spend all summer building electronic projects with Raspberry Pi Pico.
I can see that being useful for classrooms too, if they wanted to buy a whole bunch of kits to go with the books, and then you have everything that the book needs.
That's
and
it.
There's lessons. Now, does that come with any programming lessons of any kind?
It comes with a PDF download of the official book.
Cool.
And you'll follow that. And the book covers everything. I've been using it for reference for I2C and SPI with the Pico. Fantastic. All the basics are covered, so inputs, outputs, that sort of thing. Using NeoPixels, using the programmable I/O. And it also goes into great detail on I2C and SPI to use cool things like the screen.
So, speaking of kits like that, it is at least still in the U.S. for another few hours as we're recording this in the U.K. for another few hours. Amazon Prime Day, and we and Ash, Les, and I have been spending. If we seem weirded out, it's because we've been up crazy hours doing coverage on Tom's Hardware, and in Ash's case, a bit on AnonTech. Of deals for Prime Day, and if you're still on and you're a Prime member, you actually can find some pretty good deals on Raspberry Pi stuff. So I want to take a minute and show you some of the interesting stuff you can get at this time, because there are actually some good deals on kits like that. So if you see here, this is what comes up at the moment if you search Raspberry Pi on Amazon Prime, and you can save quite a bit. Here's a fight stick kit. What I find really interesting, obviously there's some deals on screens and on kits that have screens within them. There's the EleCrow Crow Pi 2, which we've covered on this show before, which is a really interesting starter laptop for kids, because it is not just a laptop, but it actually has sensors and lights and all kinds of things under the keyboard. And
you've got the RasPad too.
Lessons. There's the RasPad, which we had mixed feelings about, I think, in terms of it performed okay, but was quite loud, right?
Yes.
Quite a fan. So
you can hear it.
It has a fan, so we're not the world's biggest fan. Now here's one that is like what Les was showing. This one is from Sunfounder. This is a $30 kit, and it comes with a Pico and all the lights and whatever. It also, and I haven't gotten it, so I don't know the quality of the lessons, but it also claims to come with some lessons to actually teach you. So I strongly recommend one of these kits as a gift for someone who has not gotten started yet with Pico, whether they're a kid or an adult. I've sent this link off to some people I know who have kids who haven't gotten started yet. I'm like, hey, get them this because it has the Pico. You don't have to do the soldering of the pins, and then it has all the little pieces that you need to get started. Obviously, there's some robot kits out there for sale, various video car robots.
A lot of Yaboom ones too.
Yes, Yaboom. Like, I don't think the Yaboom tank, which I have here, is on sale today. But
I thought I saw it up there. Maybe it wasn't on sale, but I thought I saw it with the video demo.
Perhaps. So They have other kits actually here, like this Rex Qualis kit that is for if you have a regular Raspberry Pi, you can use all these electronic components with it. And of course, if you want a camera for your Raspberry Pi, there's some really fantastic deals on camera modules. Although I haven't seen any on the V2 camera module, only on versions of the clones of the V1, which is decent, but not like super duper quality. And there's some like infrared ones as well. Another kit that we're really interested in that Les has and is going to actually review is the Arducam Pico ML kit, $10 off of that, and that allows you to do machine learning with your Pico. So that's pretty cool. Sam, have you gotten to use a Pico yet?
Not yet, but I'm planning to buy one. Actually, I need one.
Good.
So, I want to start MicroPython. I haven't started on it. I was planning to this semester, so I'll definitely get one.
Yeah, that's it's a lot of fun, and your project just seems amazing. So thank you so much for joining us today. We really can't wait to see what you do next. Thanks again to everyone who's tuned in live. As always, you can catch us here on Tuesdays live at 2:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. British time, and of course, you can find us on YouTube and Facebook anytime. So thanks, everyone, and we'll see you next week. Bye.